to $5,000.
$5,000. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Any other business to come before HRA?
Move to adjourn.
Second. Motion by Wells, second by Johnson to adjourn. Good evening and welcome to the Coon Rapids City Council meeting for Wednesday, November 6th, 2019. If you could please rise and join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vescoviak.
Here.
Councilmember Kicker.
Here.
Councilmember Demmer.
Here.
Councilmember Geisler. Here. Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Wells.
Here.
Mayor Cook.
Here. First item on our agenda is to adopt this evening's agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Geisler?
I would move to adopt the agenda with one minor modification. We will be taking item number 18 and moving it to item 13.5, so at the end of our public hearing section.
Second.
Motion by Geisler, second by Demmer. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the agenda is adopted with that modification. We have one item. Our first item this evening under our proclamations and presentations is to accept a fire department donation. And we have representatives from Lexington Manufacturing, Coon Rapids Fire Department, and Alina present. And let's see here. So Nick, you want to come up to the mic?
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor and council members. So each year, the fire department, during October, we have Fire Prevention Month. Part of that Fire Prevention Month is to go to all 9 elementary schools in Coon Rapids where we teach kids various fire safety things. So one of the messages that we teach are with using the props with a door and a window. And with that, students go through and they feel with the back of their hand the door to make sure that the door is not hot. If it's not hot, then they can go ahead, open it, look to see if there's any smoke. If there is smoke, then we know that we can't go out that door. We have to use the window, so we practice with them escaping from the window. It's also a good time to make sure that each of the sleeping rooms that the kids are in have both a door and a window for them to escape. So many years ago, we had a set of props that have been used and demonstrated many years, even since I was a kid using those, and they were in need of replacement. So Fire Inspector Erickson and myself went to Lexington Manufacturing, and with the great team that they have, they were able to recreate that door and window prop. We used it this year. It was a huge success, and we just want to thank them for their donation to the fire department for years to come.
Excellent. All right. Somebody here from Lexington? Oh, awesome.
So if the team wants to come up, we've got Mike Dillon, the president. Do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I'll introduce the gentleman who, and thank you for thank you. Bill Herzog, Jimmy Mitchell, and Jim Boma were the individuals, and they're all senior operators and leads with our company who did all the work, really, and led this project, and they did an outstanding job. I would commend them. They've been longtime employees, and they're dedicated, and so that was a good project for us. And so we're happy to partner with the fire department and the city of Coon Rapids to make this donation and see it be used to help educate the children in safety. Helping kids and helping safety is a big value of ours, and so we're really happy about that. We would also like to take this opportunity to thank the chief and his team for their assistance in our plant last year. We had a dust collector fire in November of last year, and that caused a significant amount of damage to that bag house. But because of their work, it didn't spread beyond that. We were able to contain the fire. Because of the work of these guys and their teammates, we didn't miss a single delivery to any of our customers. Everybody was safe. It was a fantastic response, and so we're really happy for that. And I'd also like to mention our partner, Anderson Windows, who's our primary customer. They actually helped build the custom window and door product that are in there, and then these gentlemen helped do the final prop building, and so. Thank you
That's
very much.
excellent. That's a team effort there.
Yeah.
It was, so we really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. That is, that's a great addition, and well, those sure get used. Will they get used during the fire prevention week, and then don't you have them for like the open house? Or is that?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's great. Thank you very much.
So we're happy. Thank you. You're welcome, and we'd love to help out in the future. If you ever need any help, just let us know.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mayor.
Nick, you got one more there too?
Yep, one more. So back in 2004, the Anoka County Fire Investigation Team was founded, and with that team, it's comprised of six fire and police personnel from the city of Coon Rapids, 25 other members throughout the county law enforcement and fire officials, as well as the ATF, the State Fire Marshal's Office, and then the Attorney's Office from Anoka County. Since 2004, we've had a trailer that we've been working out of that we bring to fire scenes to investigate. We were fortunate enough to team up with Alina. Alina was getting rid of an ambulance this year, and they actually donated it to the fire investigation team. So we have Chief Peel here from Centennial Fire that's part of the fire investigation team, as well as Dave, a supervisor from Alina, and we just wanted to formally thank Alina for the continued partnership, and this ambulance is a great tool that we can use for doing investigations as far as interviewing people, as well as keeping our members in and out of the ever-changing Minnesota climate. So if you guys want to come up. So we wanted to just publicly, on behalf of the citizens of Coon Rapids and the fire department, we wanted to thank them for their great donation.
That's excellent.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As always, we're more than happy to partner with our community members. They do an awesome job, and anything we can do to support them, we're of course more than willing to help out. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement, and anything else you need, let us know.
That is awesome.
Thank you.
So Nick and Chief, while they're up, maybe we can get the Lexington guys back up and we can just get a picture in front of the dais, because we should somehow memorialize this. Two pictures? All right. I'll get on the end here. So now I'm gonna be in front of somebody like that. Who am I in front of? Sorry, Bill. Are you ready? Or you wanna stand up?
You guys want us to be standing in the back here?
Fine.
Yeah, come on.
All right.
We should be.
Do I have to gavel you?
Yes. Okay.
All right.
I think we're due. We're gonna do it.
Making this official.
We're gonna try.
It's our first day. Yeah. He's the only one that can be because he's tall enough. Bill Blank.
Hold on. No,
you're done. All right. We still need to adopt the resolution, though.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Demmer,
move to adopt Resolution 19-124, accepting a fire department donation.
Second.
motion by Demmer, second by Kicker. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. All right, that's fun stuff. Item 2, we're looking at approving the minutes from the previous meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the minutes of October 15th, 2019 as stated.
Second.
Motion by Geisler, second by, was that Griscovian? Or Kicker? Second by Kicker. Discussion, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items on our consent agenda this evening. Those are items 3 through 8 on the agenda, if you're following along. The first one is to approve a recycling center staffing agreement with Atlas Staffing. The Coon Rapids Recycling Center contracts staffing for its daily needs at the facility. An annual contract with Atlas Staffing Incorporated was approved by the City Council on October 16th, 2018. Atlas has proven to be a great fit at the recycling center, and staff would like to renew the contract from November 1st, 2019 through October 31st, 2020. Aside from the contract term, the only revision to the agreement includes a 2% cost of living adjustment. So on the consent agenda, we will be approving the contract with Atlas Staffing Incorporated for contracted staffing at the recycling center. Item 4, the next item on the consent agenda, is to accept grant funds to assist with the 2020 census outreach efforts. The city applied for and was awarded a $750 grant from the state of Minnesota and administered by the Minneapolis Foundation to assist with the 2020 census outreach efforts. The city staff intends to use the funds primarily for social media promotion of videos to areas of the city that have historically had low response rates, as well as printing of flyers to be distributed to renters, which have been a historically undercounted population. So part of this will be then to adopt Resolution 19-112, accepting grant funds from the Minneapolis Foundation for the 2020 census outreach efforts. Then on to item 5, which is to accept the quarterly financial report, the financial summary of all funds for the third quarter, and the quarterly enterprise fund statements. And let's see, so no action is necessary on this other than to acknowledge receipt of the quarterly report. And then item 6 is to receive the report from the Coon Rapids Home Improvement Foundation Board of Directors. The board's newest program, the Front Door Grant Program, was introduced in March 2019, and it was wildly successful. The program was kicked off as a pilot program intended to increase curb appeal in Coon Rapids. By the end of April, all of the initial $100,000 funding, 37 grants, was exhausted. In May, the board met and allocated an additional $150,000 to the program to be awarded through a lottery drawing. In all, there were a total of 73 grant recipients in the first year of the program, $188,080 worth of grants awarded, and a total of $1,049,114 worth of exterior improvements completed. This means there was an average project size of $14,344 and an average grant size of $25.76. This program received a ton of attention to the community, and the board approved to fund the front door grant program again in 2020. So the city council will be receiving this report with the attached board meeting minutes. Item 7 is to adopt resolution 19-123, accepting business sponsorship donations. The city of Coon Rapids launched a new business sponsorship program in 2019 to encourage partnerships in the community related to community events and recreational program. This new initiative was well received by the business community, and several sponsorships were received this year. I guess I'd just like to go through and just mention a couple. So Rec on the Spot, we had a couple premier event sponsors from, is it Lyra and Nova? They're both of Sherman Associates. Night to Unite, we had many sponsors from Coon Rapids Crime Prevention Association, Coon Rapids United Soccer Club Association, Coon Rapids Fire Community Fund, Cub Foods Northdale, North Star Towing, and then Rebel Sports, or Rebel. And then the Coon Rapids Love My Pet Fair received sponsorships from Custom Builders, Coon Rapids Chrysler Jeep Ram, Walmart, Cub Foods, Home Depot, Forever Floral, Nutrisource Pet Foods, Chuck and Don's, Nothing Bunt Cakes, Coon Rapids Senior Center, Caribou Coffee, Jimmy John's, Chanticleer Pizza, and the 101 Market. And we're looking to adopt resolution 19-123, accepting the contributions made to the 2019 business sponsorship program. And then item 8 is the final item on our consent agenda, and that's to approve the final payment to North Valley Incorporated for Project 18-6, 2018 miscellaneous park and trail improvements. Project 18-6 was for trail reconstruction at Burl Oaks Park, Prairie Oaks Park, and Vineyard Park. And this was for a change where a culvert that was not included in the original bid was added in. So we're looking at an approval of change orders and final payment to North Valley in the amount of $26,918.75 for Project 18-6, miscellaneous park and trail improvements.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Kicker,
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
motion by Kicker, second by Demmer. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And opposed, and that motion carries. We are up to the public hearings. And the first one is under item 9, consider resolution 19-120, approving property tax abatements and providing for the sale of general obligation abatement refunding bonds, Series 2019B. And we have somebody at the mic, so.
Yes,
Francine?
Mayor and Council, tonight I have Nick Onhut here from Ellers. He will discuss the tax abatement and the potential upcoming sale of the bonds in the refinance.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Nick Annett from Ellers and Associates, and I will bring up a presentation here to discuss tonight's proceedings. Part of our engagement with the city of Coon Rapids is navigating and looking around the marketplace to see if we can find opportunities to save some money. And tonight's proceedings is just such an effort. The EDA, on behalf of the city, in 2010 issued bonds to finance the ICE Center. It's been repaying those bonds over the course of 10 years and has about 16 years left on the life of those bonds, a balance of nearly $11 million remaining. Those existing bonds are paying above 4% interest rate on them, and monitoring today's marketplace, we see an opportunity to perhaps cut that in half. Existing market rates are near 2% for general obligation bonds of a city of the size and stature of Coon Rapids. Currently, you are levying nearly $1 million to repay that bond obligation. As part of tonight's proceedings is looking at an ability to convert that existing financing into a general obligation bond of the city of Coon Rapids. General obligation bond is essentially pledging the full faith and credit behind the bond as additional security to the bondholder that you are going to do everything in your powers to repay that obligation, include levy a tax. Well, you're already doing that for the EDA financing. That EDA financing, part of the reason that 4% rate exists is because that has an actual lower credit rating because it is subject to annual appropriation. You could essentially walk away and non-appropriate funds for that and turn that facility over to the bondholders. I know that's not the council's intent with that financing, but we see an opportunity here to slash some of that levy amount and reduce interest expense for the city. In order to do that, there is a mechanism within the statute under the abatement authority where the city can pledge its abatements, or essentially an allocation of its existing tax base toward that levy to repay the debt. And that's tonight's proceedings, is establishing a new abatement to service the debt and authorize the bond issue. As part of that opportunity, we're estimating that through the abatement bond issuance, we can cut interest expenses by nearly $90,000 per year, over 10% of the existing levy reduced. As part of the proceedings, the city must notice a public hearing identifying the abatement area or those properties where that allocation is occurring, as well as the term of the abatement and findings of why this is in the public's best interest. So tonight, we're presenting a resolution for the council's approval, which will identify a particular portion of the city, I'll show on a map here in a future slide, and establishing an abatement for up to 16 years to match the existing life of the EDA financing. That abatement will be included within your annual levies to service the debt for the remaining 16 years for the new financing that will be adopted. Why this is in the public interest in meeting the statutory requirements, the abatement statute identifies that you can use an abatement if you are using it to provide or acquire the construction of public facilities, like an ice arena, as well as providing access to services for your residents, financing public infrastructure, and preserving the tax base and protecting the general health and welfare of the community. This objective meets all of those criteria. In addition, the statute limits the amount that a city can abate to 10% of its net tax capacity. This is an annual limitation. When applied to the size of the tax base for the city of Coon Rapids, that 10% equates to $5.6 million of capacity that you could utilize for this or other abatement projects in the future. This will approximately eat up $1 million of that on a conservative estimate, so about 1/5 or 1/6 of your total capacity. The abatement area that was notified within the hearing, or within the hearing notice, covers a piece of property within the city that's bounded by Coon Rapids and Mississippi Boulevards and is adjacent to the location of the ITES Center. It's a residential area encompassing over 1,200 parcels, representing over 1.1 million in annual city taxes that are collected from that area, and it's from those taxes we'll be able to allocate and prove that the abatement is going to cover the amount of debt service necessary on the new bonds. It's estimated that we'll only need under $900,000 of that total amount. One of the reasons that area of the city was chosen is abatement is very much like tax increment financing, and the two cannot overlap one another. So if there was a piece of property that the city anticipated using tax increment financing for, we'd want to exclude that from the abatement area because they cannot coexist. They both deal with allocating existing tax resources. And it is not anticipated that the residential area will need to utilize that tool in the future and be subject to redevelopment. So upon completion of the public hearing and discussion, there is a resolution included with your agenda approving the property tax abatements, setting the parameters for the abatements that I've just described, and authorizing the sale of $10.8 million in general obligation bonds to refinance the ice arena debt and save money. It's our anticipation that should the council approve this evening, we'll come back with the results of a competitive sale of bonds, a public offering on November 19th, presenting the lowest bid for your approval at that evening's proceedings. Be happy to address any of the council or public's questions after the hearing. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor? Just one clarification back on the map, and I know we had that question when we first looked at this, to make sure that it was clear that it doesn't include anything other than residential parcels. And so there's pieces that, while the line looks like it goes up to Coon Rapids Boulevard, where there are commercial properties, those are not included in this, correct?
Correct, and the abatement resolution actually has a full listing of every single parcel.
Okay.
It's quite a
Yep.
quite a list, but yes, that's.
So if anybody wants to check for sure.
And whoever makes the motion will have to read those 1,277 parcel ID numbers, right? All right. Any other questions before we open the public hearing? All right, hearing none. We'll open the public hearing as we consider Resolution 19-120, approving the property tax abatement and providing for the sale of general obligation abatement, refunding bonds, Series 2019B. Is anybody here to address council on the general obligation bonds, refinancing? Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Geisler?
You know, to me, this is one of those that it's like, okay, you can really get into all of the details, but it simply is, here is, you know, like you're refinancing a home, you're refinancing something to get a lower interest rate, and it's going to save the city about $90,000 a year, which means that there's ways that we can do more services, we can be more efficient, we can not have to raise taxes. So all in all, this is a really good thing to do. So with that, I would make a motion to adopt Resolution 19-120, approving property tax abatements for that long list that's in our attachment and providing for the sale of general obligation and abatement refunding bonds, Series 2019B.
Second.
Motion by Geisler, second by Demmer. Discussion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Griscovian?
actually, question for Mr. Onnet. Of the $90,000 approximately of annual interest savings for the city, can you let me know about, or let us know about how much savings we're going to see in the first year? That'd be 2020. I know these won't get issued until probably February. There's probably some closing costs. What would be the savings in 2020 estimate?
So our estimation is actually that would be the first year that you could anticipate some savings. So you're already, have a preliminary levy established and in place. With the result of the sale at the end of November, we'll be able to provide you the opportunity to finalize and lock in those interest rates, provide you a calculation of the impact to that levy, and it's our anticipation that you could, reduce that right away. So that 90,000 would be
Okay.
Achieved in 2020.
And my question to the council and everyone is that if we get those results and we see these savings, will we have time, because we've already submitted our preliminary levy to the county, we still have a chance to lower it. Will we have a chance to actually lower that levy? Will we have those results before the final levy is adopted by the council?
We're only talking $90,000, right?
We're talking $90,000, correct. So what I'm thinking is that I'd like to see our levy reduced by this amount, so our preliminary levy actually adjusted down before we finalize. And I wanted to see if there was going to have the opportunity, does the timing allow for that?
Mayor, Council, I think that at December 3rd, we would ask the council to consider the final budget. We'd have our truth and taxation hearing. In the mechanics of reducing it by 90,000, I guess I'll defer to our finance director, but I believe that opportunity could exist if council so desired. I don't know, Fran,
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. But that would be a separate meeting and a separate discussion.
Correct, yeah. That could be something that if after the results of the bond sale seem appropriate, and council would provide direction for staff to investigate that after that approval's been made, then we could give those options at the December 3rd meeting during the truth and taxation hearing, so.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all. See you in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, all right. Item 10 on our agenda is to hold a public hearing and consider Resolution 19-114, adopting the 2019 Sub 2 miscellaneous special assessment levy hearing. Let's see, the amount to be assessed for this 2019 Sub 2 miscellaneous assessments is $117,322 as of October 29th. The amount reflects payments and adjustments that have been made since October 15th, when the assessment hearing date was set. An updated amount will be distributed on November 6th. The process of hearing assessment appeals will include a hearing before the Board of Adjustment and Appeals before City Council adoption, and the City Council must still open a public hearing as required by state statutes. At this hearing, the council will collect written appeals and refer appellants to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals for the review and recommendations. And the Board of Adjustment and Appeals is expected to meet on December 5th and will make a recommendation to the City Council at the December 17th council meeting. The terms of repayment of these assessments are determined by the amount being assessed. The proposed assessments are categorized by the number of years to be assessed and the interest rate recommended. So is there anything that you need to tell us before we open the public hearing?
Mr. Mayor, Council, I think you've got everything you need to open the public hearing.
All right. So we will open the assessment hearing to collect written appeals. Is there anybody here that has a written appeal for the assessment? So now, do we keep this open then, or do we close this again? Okay. So we'll close that. And now we're looking at adopting some resolutions.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Kicker?
just one at a time?
You can take, I think, all at the same time.
Okay, so I make a recommendation that we adopt Resolution 19-114, adopting 2019 Sub 2 miscellaneous special assessments unopposed 1 year. Adopt Resolution 19-115, adopting 2019 Sub 2 miscellaneous special assessments unopposed 3 year. And adopt Resolution 19-116, adopting 2019 Sub 2 miscellaneous special assessments unopposed 5 year.
Second.
Okay, motion by Kicker, second by Demmer. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is confirmed. All right. Item 11 is to hold a currency exchange license public hearing. So let's see, Minnesota statutes require the governing body to hold a public hearing and render a decision regarding the license renewal within 60 days or by December 7th, 2019. The notice of public hearing was published in the Anoka County Union Herald on October 25th, 2019. And the Minnesota Department of Commerce conducted a state-level background review on the appropriate personnel. No matters which would impact concurrence with the license were discovered. So we're looking to hold a public hearing for the currency exchange license renewal. Is anybody here to address council for the currency exchange license renewal? Currency, Mr. Anderson, want to talk about it? No? All right. Okay. Close the public hearing. And council.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a move that we concur with the Minnesota Department of Commerce renewal of the 2020 currency exchange license for Your Exchange, 3070 Coon Rapids Boulevard.
Second.
Motion by Geisler, second by Wells. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. And item 12 is to hold a public hearing and consider Resolution 19-122 for vacation of a utility and water main easement for RMS Company. RMS Company has submitted plans to the city that include expansion of their existing facility located at 8600 Evergreen Boulevard. The building expansion project requires the relocation of an existing water main pipe currently located within a 20-foot wide drainage and utility easement. So I am going to open the public hearing on Resolution 19-122. Is there anything else you need? It looks, we've got a lot of people lining up here to talk about this. You sure? All right. We'll open the public hearing on Resolution 19-122 as we consider vacation of the utility and water main easement for RMS Company. Public hearing is closed.
These are the exciting parts of the city.
These really are the exciting parts.
Way to put them all in the same night.
All right. Council, so we still need to adopt a resolution here.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Demmer.
move to adopt Resolution 19-122, vacating a utility and water main easement for the property located at 8600 Evergreen Boulevard, Coon Rapids.
Second.
Motion by Demmer,
There's a fight over
second
that
by
one, I think.
Geisler.
Fight over getting that one done.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. And we have one more riveting one. Hold a public hearing and consider Resolution 19-121 for vacation of a utility easement, Red Mill. On June 20th, 2019, Red Mill Properties LLC received site plan approval from the Planning Commission for the construction of a 6,100 square foot multi-tenant commercial building proposed on the northeast corner of the Wells Fargo building site located at 3200 Main Street. This project requires the relocation of an existing water main pipe currently located within a 20-foot wide drainage and utility easement. The existing drainage and utility easement needs to be vacated and a new one conveyed over the realigned water pipe. I'm going to open the public hearing on that. Is anybody here to address council on the vacation of the utility easement there? Hearing none, we'll close that public hearing. Council.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Kicker.
I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 19-121, vacating a utility easement for property located at 3200 Main Street, Coon Rapids, Minnesota 55448.
Second.
Motion by Kicker, second by Griskoviac. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. And now we've got item 13.5, which if you're following along is actually agenda item 18. What did I miss?
Oh, I missed it. I was.
Oh, all right.
Thank you for the reminder.
To consider adoption of ordinances 2228 and 2229 and resolutions setting the 2020 fees and charges. And because state statute requires, I would imagine, we need to conduct a public hearing regarding the fee increases for the on-sale 3.2 malt liquor and off-sale 3.2 malt liquor licenses, tavern license, and on-sale intoxicating liquor license. Be interesting to know if we have to do this any more years. The legislators, apparently we're the last state in the country that has 3.2. So, all right. All right, so I'm going to open the public hearing for anybody that's here to address council regarding the fee increases for on-sale 3.2 malt liquor and off-sale 3.2 malt liquor licenses. Is anybody here to address council over those fees? Close the public hearing. And we have several recommendations.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Demmer.
All right, move to adopt ordinance 2229, revising certain license fees, service fees, and related charges effective January 1st, 2020. Also move to adopt ordinance 2228, establishing permit and inspection fees for the Building Inspections Division as authorized by Minnesota Statute Section 16B.62 Subdivision 1, effective January 1st, 2020. Further, move to adopt Resolution 19-117, establishing certain fees and charges effective January 1st, 2020. And further, move to adopt Resolution 19-118, establishing certain fees and charges for use of CTN studio facilities effective January 1st, 2020.
Second.
Motion by Demmer, second by Kicker. Discussion?
I do have one quick question.
Councilmember Johnson?
Thank you, Your Honor. So, and this is for Mr. Brody. We have 19-117, establishing certain fees and charges. And in there, we have a fee or charge for a dangerous dog license fee. It's now $35 and we're kicking it to $50. Okay, and my quarrel is not with the fee. Why do we license dangerous dogs?
I think you have an ability to maintain a dangerous dog in the city if you can meet certain requirements. They include insurance, proper enclosures. I think that's under state statute and incorporated in our ordinance. In the years that I've been here, and perhaps Captain Urquhart could chime in if necessary, I don't think anybody's ever been able to meet the requirements. I think they could probably meet the $50 payment fee, but
Right.
to obtain the $1 million insurance policy or whatever it is that you need to obtain, the proper enclosures, those kinds of things, it's.
So these are dogs that have a track record
Yes.
because of prior incidents.
And they have other requirements in addition to that $50 fee.
Very well. Thank you very much.
So apparently the $50 isn't the unattainable part of this.
Right.
Or the difficult part, all right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and that motion carries. And now we are on to item 14, consider resolution 19-24, sub 9, awarding a contract for the wastewater treatment plant HVAC improvements. These are for upgrades to the heating and ventilation system serving the wastewater treatment plant. The project will include improvements to the boiler room, combustion, air and heating system, chlorine room, HVAC system updates, control upgrades, and removal and demolition of unused or obsolete equipment. In May of 2019, staff retained Short Elliott Hendrickson Incorporated to provide professional engineering design, bidding services, and construction administration for the project. The council accepted plans and specs on October 1st and authorized solicitation of bids. The project was advertised in October, and bids were received on October 25th. We have a summary of bids here. We're looking at, so Short Elliott Hendrickson, SEH, recommends award of contract to the low bidder, Pioneer Power Incorporated. The SEH engineers have successfully worked with Pioneer Power Incorporated on past projects, and if we award the contract, it is anticipated construction will begin in December. Anything else, Mr. Hemmer? You have very detailed notes, so. All right, council?
Your Honor,
Councilmember Kicker?
I make a motion that the council adopt resolution number 19-24 sub 9, awarding a contract to Pioneer Power, Inc. in the amount of $208,600 for wastewater treatment plant HVAC improvements.
Second.
Motion by Kicker, second by Geisler. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Now we are under new business. To consider approval of the food and beverage service agreement with MHC Bunker Hills. Looks like we have a presentation, or at least somebody that's going to come talk to us. Mr. Stemwedel?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I'll actually have Mr. Anderson provide the introduction to the folks from Morrissey Hospitality who help operate Kendall's Chop House and the event space at Bunker Hills. And in addition to considering the new 5-year agreement, Morrissey has also provided a short presentation for you, just give you a sense of the last 5 years of activity at that operation and fortunately share a good success story as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
You got it?
Mayor, Council,
Mr. Anderson.
I'll tell you what, time flies when you're having a good time. It seems like yesterday that Bill Morrissey was here with others representing Morrissey Hospitality, promising authentic hospitality. And some of you folks in the room remember that. And they've delivered on that, I believe, and then some on Bill's promise. So I'm delighted to be here today, looking for your approval and moving forward with another 5 years. Very similar language in the document, as you can see in your memo. I'm fortunate to work with these folks every day and their teams. Sue Brown, Director of Hospitality, Callie Kipke, Director of Catering, Tara Baltazar, Assistant Restaurant General Manager, Corey Pica, Executive Chef, and of course Keith Reardon, who many of you have seen before, Vice President Morrissey Hospitality, who I will yield to for a brief presentation.
Including 5 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council and staff, because I work with much of the staff as well. 5 years ago, we came and Bill and I and sat down and discussed quickly taking over the operations there. At the time, it was in a distressed situation. I think we took over in 4 or 5 days from the time we had the first meeting. Subsequently, about a year later, I came and asked for about $1 million.
Yes, you did.
And so now we're kind of at the end of that, and we've seen the outcomes of those asks. And we're going to kind of slide through the slides here and show you a little bit of the past couple of years. So if we go back and we look at the next slide, please. So at the mission statement, so one of the things we did is we really created a mission statement that we believe kind of encompassed what we were trying to accomplish here. And so I'll read that for a moment here. So it's provide high quality, casual American cuisine while creating a memorable experience to all who visit. Be a destination gathering place and a source of pride for the community while delivering an acceptable financial return to the city. So I think in the term of the last 5 years, we were able to put a dinner theater in there and many of the other things that were originally envisioned for the property. And so we really executed on many different fronts, but mostly what we were able to deliver was that authentic hospitality and the people that are leading the brand. So we wanted to bring a couple of the leaders here today. Currently we have a staff of about almost 100 people that work there during the summer, a little bit more, about 130 or 40 when we peak out. So it does take a lot of people to actually operate that venue, and ultimately that's the heart of what our business is. It's a people business. So in that, we have a lot of customer contact, and these are some of our comments that we get. I think we're on Open Table currently, and we have guest reviews up there, and they're scoring very well. So Open Table typically is a Minneapolis, St. Paul type product, so I think we're the only restaurant in Coon Rapids on it. But it does give us a good feedback system that's a public awareness type of situation. So we're obviously getting great feedback in our golf tournaments, our weddings and our catering events, our business and corporate events, as well as the dining and the concessions on the course. We push a lot of people through the building. And so this slide here represents the growth that we've had since 2016 to what we're projecting for 2020. So both in the catering area as well as the Kendalls, you see growth in both situations. In that situation there, we're looking at almost 38,000 additional people coming through the building to enjoy the hospitality since since 2016.
Keith, I just am so embarrassed to ask this. What's a cover? Is a cover
A person that sits down and eats a meal.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that in this situation, if you go to the bar, we don't really count that, or it's on the course. But if you actually purchase a meal, that's what we consider a cover. As Tim and the rest of the crew here knows, we kind of, use our metrics on a lot of things. And so that's a really good measurement tool for us that we can manage our costs by and project revenues and really the potential for the business going forward. So it's a hospitality term that we use.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
It seemed like you were referring to people, but then I thought, well, not sure.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so then in this particular slide, we're kind of showing you the revenue portion of that. So we had the people portion before that. So we've grown the business about $1.2 million over this period of time here. So to break that apart, we have the Kendall's Tavern and Chop House, which we've put in about 4 years ago, and it's been operating very, very well received in the marketplace. We kind of landed, I think, in a sweet spot in terms of our product offerings as well as our price point, and then the service that complements it. And so we like to say that people, show up at Kendall's and they don't know they're really going to a golf course. And ultimately, that's what we thought when we first got engaged with the project, that there was a real restaurant trade here, and it wasn't just a food and beverage operation at a golf course. So then this slide represents the growth in the revenue inside of the Kendall's restaurant product itself. So this is probably the strongest attribute of the operation that we do there now. Okay, so that's got showing nice growth, that's fine. And then we have the Bunker Hills Event Center. And so in here, in these revenues, which you'll see, we do our golf tournaments, we have weddings, we have corporate meetings and social events there. So the next slide represents the growth that we've had in those revenues, including in here also are some of the community events we do and the dinner theater and things like that would show up in here. You can see again, there's a tremendous growth inside of this as well. Next slide, please. All right, then we've got the concessions. All right, so then we built Mully's, right? So we said, okay, to really fix the restaurant, which you've seen the growth, we had to separate the product, which means we had a golfer product that was really, I call it the $5 hamburger product, and then we've got the $15 restaurant burger product. And so what was the previous operator's challenge is that you had both those competing at the same time, which ultimately drove the revenue potential of the restaurant down. So by separating it, we were able to sell whoever wanted a nice, tavern-style burger that's got whiskey glaze on it, which, he says, will get you addicted.
It's my wife's favorite.
And then we've got, the double-double, which we call it out there at Mully's Tap Shack for $5 and $7. So we were able to separate that. Now, when I came and presented and asked for the money to do all that, we didn't quite know exactly which way they were going to go. And what we found after it was done is that what we believed to be the golfer that really was going to use the concession came in and used the restaurant. So although that was still successful, and we couldn't have achieved the success we had if we had not separated it. And it's actually better that we're getting the sale in the restaurant than necessarily there. So when we flip to the next slide, you're going to see that basically the concession sales have been flat over the course. Now, they did increase about $80,000 or $90,000 from where they were prior to doing anything out there. At this point, the weather's been a bit challenging, especially last year, and actually that's really dependent on golf rounds. And so with this, the golf rounds, being down because of the weather as well, there is a little bit more potential here. We figured $20,000 to $30,000 in the year. But that kind of explains that slide. So it's not a complete waste to have built Mully's, is basically what I'm saying. All right. So then we get to really some of the significant improvements. So when we first started, we were really accepting, the previous operator took all the deposits for the wedding and things like that. So we had to really work through that first year and a half. And our food costs and some of our costs were really out of line because of that. Eventually, when we kind of got our legs from us and we kind of separated from that and we really started to kind of move in the marketplace, we were able to affect our cost of goods, and we've really done a good job. So this is cost of goods is our liquor cost and our food cost and our operating supply costs that go along with the food and beverage. So what you see here, plus we implemented some system, and we have some support from MHC that helps them in a purchasing program and things like that. But this is really where some of the profitability came from over the last 3 years, was the management of the food costs. And Jorge here has led that primarily, along with the restaurant operators on the beverage side. The other expenses, our group is really pretty good about managing expenses. We do push a lot of people through the building, which means there's a lot of wear and tear on the building. And the products that we're using, the china and glassware and things like that, they're very fragile, and we've got a lot of hard surfaces there and things like that. So it's a pretty big effort. We use also a lot of disposable products and things like that, and so we compost and whatnot. But in the case here, you're seeing also a decline in the operating costs of the unit. So that's another positive benefit. And of course, the most, impressive one is that we made some money eventually there. And so now we try to balance that with the community's, need for, having an affordable place to go versus the quality, and trying to really balance that equation. We want to remain profitable, but we want to charge enough to make sure that we're able to achieve that. And we really appreciate the opportunity of work with you and the support we had early on, because that support is the reason why we're able to achieve these things here.
All right.
So,
Can we just hit the last slide and you're done, or what?
I think that we would like to ask for a 10-year contract. No, again, we really appreciate it, and, thank you for your support. And obviously, we know many of you are customers of ours, and so we thank you for that as well.
Yeah, it's, and the parking, how's the new parking working out?
It's working out a little bit better, Sue, you wanna?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to Tim, and he loved the idea to have the paint put down, and it's amazing.
Sue was the one out there with the barricades she
Oh,
got
I
from the
was
police
like-
department.
Tournaments, and people were, turning away, and I'm like, no, I have room. You go into the restaurant and nobody's in there. So, yeah, it's helped a great deal, definitely. It's nice to see an open parking lot at 10:30, so
Yep.
absolutely full. Yes,
Yep.
thank you.
As Tim will tell you, I'm very creative, and we're always coming back to the well to try to fix something, so, and parking is still on the agenda to try to address. Its potential for the venue.
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing now, is just getting the word out there now. Go ahead and head out there for lunch. It's okay. You can park and you can eat, and, yeah.
Yeah, Sue, why don't you tell them about the card we just put in, the rewards card?
Oh, sure. So.
Sue, why don't you move up by that
Yeah.
mic, though?
So we wanted to drive more business in the restaurant during lunch and for our breakfasts. And so breakfast is served only on Saturdays and Sundays. And so what we did is we created a loyalty reward program card. So after 5 entrees, either breakfast or lunch, you'll receive a complimentary one after that. So we just started this on the 1st, and we've been handing them out. Like, I had to order 1,000 more just because I wanted to make sure, Callie's got her team going out and doing sales calls with them. But we're hoping to drive a little more business with this card and just get a little more frequent business during the day and on the weekends. So.
Excellent.
One of the greatest opportunities is for lunch. We also just launched our 100 for 100 gift card promotion. So how that works is at the St. Paul Hotel or the Grill or Potts Luna, if you buy a $100 gift card to that restaurant, you get $20 promo cards to use at another venue. Our promo cards for Bunker Hills and Kendall's are in the St. Paul Hotel, in the Potts Luna, and the Tria packet. So in essence, what that's saying is that the customer of the St. Paul Hotel will be encouraged to come up here and try this restaurant as a $20 promotion. So that's also launched just a week ago or so. So that's cross-branding that we're able to do.
And you've been doing that for a number of years. That's a
very
pretty
well,
cool
yeah.
deal.
Absolutely.
All right. Council have anything here? At some point, we're gonna have to make a decision about this contract.
If I might, years ago, you all took over, and I had always had the view that I preferred more of a private-public combination, a private business in there running things, and us not being as engaged in that. I have to say that after seeing these years of development and the work that you've put into it, that I think you've come up with a really wonderful product there. And so, well, that still is my general preference. I would make an exception for the work that you've done. I mean, I think it's been a wonderful asset to the city. And I'm not as well-known when I go up there, and so when I'm there, I've had wonderful experiences, and people I know of that I work downtown Minneapolis talk about it now. I hear about it now when 2 years ago I didn't, but you were still building the business and building the brand and things like that. So my kudos to you all for all the hard work that you put in. And thank you for bringing this to the city of Coon Rapids and making it such a nice place.
Thank you.
There were a lot of visionaries there. We saw some pretty impressive proposals 5 years ago, people that wanted to come in here pretty badly. And it was between your vision and Mr. Anderson, who was very insistent that Morrissey was the one. That was the one we needed to go with. And we knew that we need to keep Mr. Anderson happy, so.
Well, we taught them all how to run food and beverage and restaurants, that's for sure, because they know more than they wanted to know.
All right.
Mayor and council.
Mr. Stemwedel?
Just to continue the love fest, I suppose. That's the way it's feeling that, from my perspective, we meet monthly with the team from Morrissey Hospitality, and I can truly comment that it's a partnership. Not only do we go through very detailed sort of financial information, how the month go, what were the highs, what were the lows, but each month we think strategically about how to make it a better operation, not only restaurant side, but the golf side, and how those two things intermix. And yes, we do spend a lot of time talking about parking, May through September. But that's something from my end, I've always felt like they've had the best in mind for that operation. We had those conversations about how to sort of meet the need for the community. And I think their level of professionalism is second to none. So I just wanted to thank their whole team for doing that, and make sure I share that with council to know how good I feel about it, and I think other staff would echo those same comments.
Excellent. All right. Somebody want to take care of this contract?
Mr. Mayor, I'll do that. 'Cause
Okay.
It's like my favorite place to go. So I would make a motion to authorize the execution of the Bunker Hills Golf Club food and beverage service agreement with MHC Bunker Hills.
Let me second that.
Motion by Geisler, a fight for second by Johnson. All in favor, say, discussion? Discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries, and we're good for another 5 years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 16 on our agenda this evening is to consider planning case 19-19, consider adoption of resolution 19-113, adopting a registered land survey 4095-4101 Coon Rapids Boulevard, APG. Mr. Harlicker? Sure.
Mayor and, excuse me, council members, what the applicant is proposing is to subdivide, what was the ECM parcel on Coon Rapids Boulevard across the street from the hospital. Currently, the parcel, it's one parcel at 5.47 acres. It's bounded on the north by 119th and Coon Rapids Boulevard on the south. There's two structures on the site. One was the old production and office facility, and then the office building here on the east. What the applicant is proposing to do, this is a survey of what's out there, is split the property in two, with each building being on its own separate lot. Tract A is 2.69 acres, and that's this tract here, and it contains the old production office building. Tract B is 2.78 acres, and it contains the office building. The parking is split between the two parcels that will require a shared parking and access agreement before that second parcel is sold, or Tract A is sold. This is a copy of this is the actual registered land survey, so the property boundaries show up a little bit clearer. Engineering had a couple comments. They wanted drainage and utility easements along this common property line, as well as a snow storage easement along Coon Rapids Boulevard. The applicant is also being required to install a sidewalk along Coon Rapids Boulevard. Park dedication for the parcel, when this initial property proposal, parcel was subdivided back in the 1920s, no park dedication was collected at that time. It's been the city's practice to collect park dedication in situations like that when the property is replatted. So staff is proposing, and the Planning Commission recommended that Tract A be assessed park dedication fee at the industrial rate, which is $4,000 an acre. And Tract B be assessed park dedication at $5,000 an acre, which is the commercial rate. At the Planning Commission meeting, Planning Commission recommended approval of the RLS. No one came to speak at the public hearing. The Planning Commission's recommendation included the following 4 conditions. 5-foot drainage and utility easement along the common property line, this line here. Applicant be required to construct a sidewalk along Coon Rapids Boulevard. Park dedication be collected for both Tract A and Tract B. And a cross-access and parking agreement be recorded prior to the transfer or sale of either parcel. Since the Planning Commission meeting, staff has determined the park dedication fee and the need for the snow storage and sidewalk easement. So staff is recommending that the Planning Commission's approval be amended as follows. With condition number 2, the applicant be required to construct a sidewalk along Coon Rapids Boulevard on both tracks A and B, and a snow storage sidewalk easement be granted to the city along Coon Rapids Boulevard. And on condition number 3, park dedication in the amount of $10,760 for Tract A and $13,900 for Tract B be paid prior to releasing the registered land survey for recording. And those changes were included in Resolution 19-113, which Council is considering tonight. With that, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions from Mr. Harlicker? Councilmember Demmer?
So, did they know the parking limit when they drew up these lines? I mean, they're short by 1 spot, and they drew that border line. I just couldn't figure out why they didn't move that border line by 1 spot. And so I'm, not that we should change it or anything like
Yeah.
that, it's just more of a, when they came to you with this, was that something you guys could have spotted and told them, hey, if you move that line, you won't need this agreement, or does they just not care?
Councilmember Demmer, I think it was a function of a couple things. The way the buildings are situated on the property, this long property, and there's only one place you can go.
I meant the other line,
And
the
that's what it
diagonal
is.
line.
And
kinda-
this one down here,
Yeah. Because that's at a weird angle compared to the angle of the parking spots. They
Yeah.
wouldn't.
I'm not sure why it was drawn up that way.
Okay.
And we didn't catch that until we actually got into a more detailed review.
Okay, so they had already drawn it all up and then later found out they were 1 spot short.
Correct.
So, I mean, is there a way to say they can either get a parking agreement or move that lot line 10 feet and we don't care? Or is that a bad way to do this?
I think in either case, well, they're going to require cross-access and parking
access
agreements
either
between
way.
the two parcels, just because they're so interconnected.
Okay, that's
So
fine then.
that's
I
that's
just
a
hate
given.
to assign one of those parking agreements in perpetuity to 2 buildings if we didn't have to.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Okay.
Your Honor?
Councilmember Kicker?
Mr. Harlicker, you said that Tract A is considered industrial and Tract B is commercial?
Commercial.
So the full plot itself prior to dividing was commercial or industrial?
It's currently, it's zoned port.
It's on port?
Port, correct.
Okay.
I based my assessment on park dedication on the previous uses of the building. This is really designed as an industrial building, so I took the liberty of determining that it should be assessed as an industrial property.
Okay, so the zoning hasn't changed on it, it's still port?
It's still port,
Both-
yes.
Both, okay, all right.
Yep.
Mayor,
Councilmember Griscoviac?
is there a drainage utility going down the center of that property today? I'm just wondering, is the drainage easement required by city code to be in there? I'm just wondering if there was one there now.
Yes, Councilmember, we typically require 5-foot drainage and utility easements on either side of property lines. That allows utilities to lay cable, fiber optics into the property.
Thanks.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Geisler?
I will make a motion to approve Resolution 19-113, approving the proposed registered land survey with the 4 stated conditions are 1, the 5-foot drainage and utility easement on either side of the common line between tracks A and B. Updated condition number 2, that there will be required to construct a sidewalk along Coon Rapids Boulevard on both tracks A and B, and snow storage and sidewalk easements granted to the city along Coon Rapids Boulevard. Updated 3, which is the park dedication in the amount of $10,760 for Tract A and $13,900 for Tract B, be paid prior to releasing the registered land survey for recording. And item 4, the cross-access and parking agreement recorded prior to the transfer or sale of either parcel.
Second. Motion by Geisler and a second by Wells. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Harlicker. Item 17 on tonight's agenda is to consider Resolution 19-119, establishing the 2020 fees and charges for use of city park facilities. Does everybody get a chance to look through there? Anybody need any information? We're looking for just some increases in the Riverwind meeting rooms to better reflect the cost of maintenance for the rentals. Crooked Lake Park, they clipped off the over 50 people was removed, as each shelter can only really accommodate up to 50. Lions Coon Creek daily rentals for up to 50, 75 for residents and 100 for non. And the picnic shelters at Woodview, Riverview, and more will no longer have a rental fee. There are minimal bookings for these picnic shelters, and without electricity, it was determined that these picnic shelters should be first come, first serve.
Your Honor?
Councilmember Kicker.
I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 19-119, establishing certain fees and charges for use of city park facilities effective January 1st, 2020.
Second.
Motion by Kicker and a second by Demmer. Discussion? Mr. Stemwell, is there a way to track this, like our higher used facilities, to make sure that we're charging enough differential between resident and non-resident? Like if we have something that's booked all the time and we find out that it's always non-residents that are booking it and our residents are coming up short, it would be nice to have kind of a dynamic reaction to that, since our residents are the ones that are really paying for them.
Mayor, Council, yes, I mean, we would be able to monitor that information. We'd have the, list of bookings for the past year, for example, and we could, tally up how many were resident versus not resident. I don't have that information in front of me. I don't know if, Tim, you've got any inkling about that, but that's certainly something we could provide to the council in the future.
All right, yeah, thank you. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that passes. Now we are on to item 19, which is to consider revocation of a therapeutic massage enterprise license for Cloud9 Massage LLC, 11284 Robinson Drive, Northwest.
Mr. Mayor, council members.
Ms. Lensmeyer?
As outlined in the memo, we've discovered a few discrepancies over at Cloud9 Massage, and they're listed there for you. The first one, though, the insurance. So I received an email with a letter, and that's been provided to you at the dais from a Ms. Lee providing insurance. The letter at the talks about providing proof and documentation that both policies for Ming and for Cloud9 were valid. I did not get any verification that that original certificate was valid. I just got a completely new policy. So it's my position that they absolutely do have insurance now. Ms. Lee is a licensed insurance agent, but at the time and what was submitted, there's no explanation for why what I got was not valid. So I just wanted to clarify that. The other issue is that we're not certain that Mr. Perry is the only party of interest to this. When I meet with him to discuss bringing things into compliance, his answer is frequently, I will tell them, or I will let them know. When I ask who them is, I'm not given any information on that. So I have concerns about that. And then, as you can read in the memo, we received information originally from that office, the insurance office, that this Julia Wang pays the insurance for the business, and there's some concerns about her ability to be licensed if she is in fact a partner or a silent partner, and that was included with your packet. Mr. Perry and his attorney are here to address you. If you have any questions of me, I would be happy to answer those. Otherwise, we'll hear from Mr. Perry and his attorney.
So the original insurance document that you received,
It was a certificate of liability. It was dated for the time frame where Ming Massage was licensed there, and the name had been changed to Cloud9. There was no actual insurance policy for that at that time, for Cloud9. So if something had happened to someone, there was no valid insurance for the business at that time.
May I just follow up on that real briefly?
Councilmember Johnson.
Who was the owner of Ming Massage?
Ming was a gal by the name of Ya Ming Ji. I'm
Okay.
not sure if I'm saying that
So
correctly.
no relation to any of the parties here?
No, but I do believe that she is working with Julia Wang behind the scenes and that Mr. Perry is helping them get up and running again.
Okay.
All right. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Dong Fa Zhou. I'm an attorney representing Mr. Thomas Perry. And the owner of Ming, I was her attorney. I'm still her attorney. I remember last time I was here too with that hearings. So I'm the attorney for both of them. I thank you, Ms. Lansmeyer, to clarify the issues here. I think there's Mr. Tom Perry applied for the licenses. When he got the letter, he was shocked. That's what he told me. And he called me. And he called the insurance. Now you have the clarifications. I don't know how it could got wrong, you know. The insurance, the issue, the COI, the issues. I think that the context of this is the previous owner, Ming, LLC, is here. She couldn't do any business, so she has to sell it. And that's her. Now, she sold to Mr. Tom Paris, who is here, he asked to speak to council and mayor in a little bit, telling his side of the story. And the insurance, from the insurance letter, you can see that the J1 did a lot of insurance with that insurance company. So she would recommend people, referral, like, you know, attorneys, like if we know somebody, we refer people to the places to do it. And you can see from the letter, she is the referral. She refer people to the business. She herself does a lot. So I'm just saying, just because somebody might have something going on there, by somebody referring a business, that this should not be tainted. If there's any questions, go ahead and invest the applicant. I mean, this is a bona fide business. They sell the business, the COI change to a different people. And the letter, the first letter, Thomas Perry got it. It was just totally shocked him. It was everything is fraudulent. So he called the insurance. I actually later called the insurance agent to say, the insurance agent told me they already clarified with the city. There might be some misunderstanding of there. So I don't know where that could happen. We don't know. But you get the letter from the insurance. Those are all independent people. There's no interaction between them. They're all business people. The city council can even subpoena or do whatever. I mean, those are the legitimate businesses. There's nothing behind the scene. And also, there's one thing in the letter, previous letter sent to Mr. Tom Perry, was there one sentence at the let me see. about level to say when the owner of Ming Massage came to ask for a police report because she wants to apply for, she actually has been approved for, to become a permanent resident of the United States. They need her criminal record to say she has no criminal record or whatever. So she came to the police department to ask for the police records so she could submit it to the immigration officer. And there's one sentence there to say, during her visit, she made comments related to a buyer owner of a former business that was not Thomas Perry. Mayor and City Council, she's right here. She is not very fluent in English. I don't know how that communication could go on to say she could be at that level, can communicate. And you will hear from her. She will hear just to say a few words. There has to be I'm saying this whole thing might be a misunderstanding right here. And so the grounds for revocation is not there. I would ask the city not to approve the recommendations. I'm asking Mr. Perry to talk to you about his applications. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council,
State your name.
again, as my attorney has stated, when I got the letter, I was shocked.
I'm sorry, sir. So
Sorry.
if you just introduce yourself, though, first.
I'm sorry, I'm Thomas Perry.
Okay.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Yeah, my name's Thomas Perry. I am the owner of Cloud9 Massage LLC. My name's all over the paperwork. I don't understand where the confusion was when the insurance company was contacted initially. So, yeah, I've got the Office of Minnesota Certificate of Organization from the state. We got the letter for the EIN number. Everything's within my name. There's nobody else behind the scenes. Yes, I've got a little assistance. Obviously, Chinese, American language problems. But this is something you can't go into blind. So yes, I've got people helping me. And that's what I said when I tell them. I've got people that are helping me, but they're not partners or anything. They're just helping me, guiding me along the way. Any questions?
I'm not sure yet. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Perry yet?
Or clarification of anything?
Mr. Mayor.
So they're not your partners, but the insurance certificate is issued to Ming LLC and Cloud9 Massage LLC. So you're both on the same policy?
Your Honor, I can answer that. The insurance was Ming LLC when Ming LLC was in operation. But because of the city revoked the business, she couldn't do that business, and so she is looking for buyers. And there's a buyer, and he paid the insurance money, and the insurance money just switched the insurance. And that's why the name was, the COI was on Ming, but then when the insurance changed, they switched it. That's what it is. So there's nothing to say that the insurance is not valid or not. The insurance is insured in that case. And also in Minnesota, the city has a regulation, when you apply for business, you have the insurances. So the buyer is basically have to pay everything in case if the license is not approved, then they're also lost some money. But this is kind of thing is going on now. So the insurance agent has clarified already that the insurance are valid insurance. They pay the money, they switched over. That's what they're doing.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Johnson?
If I might. Counsel, I think the part that's difficult for some of us to wrap our heads around is, we have a letter here from the insurance agency. You've seen a copy of that letter, I'm sure. from Ms. Lee. And it says the letter is to verify that the certificate issued for Ming LLC and Cloud9 Massage LLC is not fraudulent. There's a typographical error there, but I think one of the difficulties that I'm having trouble understanding is who is the real party in interest? Is Cloud9 Massage LLC the insured party, or is it Ming LLC now doing business as Cloud9 Massage LLC, and now Cloud9 is just acting as a new name for an entity that we've previously found to have a problem with? So that is some of the ambiguity that appears in the paperwork here. And candidly, I think it's incumbent on you all to resolve those ambiguities for the council. There's also a thing in here that talks about how Ms. Julia Wang has now been our loyal customer and has referred multiple accounts to us. So you're saying that there's a referral that's going on. But if there was insurance already with Ming LLC, I'm not sure what Ms. Julia Wang has to do with this. And so I guess my question to Mr. Perry right now is there any written or unwritten business relationship as a consulting relationship, as a contractual relationship, as a partnership between Cloud9, you, sir, as the owner of Cloud9, and Ms. Julia Wang?
Let me answer that question first. I think that.
I actually want to hear from him,
Oh,
though,
okay.
too, because he's the applicant, but I'm happy to have you weigh in because you're representing him, so.
Let me just separate those two.
Sure.
Your question is very legitimate, but I think that's the question can be better answered by the insurance agent. The Ming is no longer in existence. That's it. It's just like you buy a car insurance. The insurance, you have the car, you have the insurance, your car is gone, you don't have the insurance.
And maybe that's part of the translation problem
Right.
in this letter, because it does say the certificate issued for Ming LLC and Cloud9. Okay, so maybe that's something clarification needs to be done on.
Right, so that's the insurance agent. We should get the insurance agent, because I call the insurance agent. I said, what's going on? You look like my client is a fraud or something, so the letter does say that. It's not very clear, but that's the insurance issue. So we need to clarify if the city clerk can get the letter to the insurance, please verify. Those are the things. It's, again, just like the insurance. You buy a car, you buy the insurance. And then you buy somebody else, they just switch the insurance to somebody's name. I mean, it happens all the time. The other things about the Julia Wan in there, Julia Wan is somebody who has done a lot of insurance with that particular company. So when Perry comes in, buy the company, he is not in the business before. He needs some help to say, well, where do I buy insurance? Julia Wan called up to say, hey, there's somebody, that's it. That's connection there. There is no partnership or what. I think the trouble is with the letter is that the letter is not very clear. Even that letter is not clear to say, well, what is it? But I think it reacts to Mr. Perry's kind of a panic to say, well, what do you mean by it was a fraud? I think that letter was addressed to the fraud issue. But I think the city council might ask the insurance agent to clarify we're okay with that. There's nothing fraud in it. It's bona fide business transactions right there. Go ahead.
And as for any relationship between me and Ms. Wang, it's more along the lines of a guide. She's helping me make the right decisions, explaining the business for me, and that's as far as it goes. And helping me, find a massage therapist to get in there too, because it's a community that I'm not a part of, but it is an opportunity I'm taking advantage of, but because of the languages and everything in Chinese and American, she's helping me along the lines of, here's your, talk to this insurance agent. You have to have this, you have to have that type of thing. But there's no document or anything. It's just more along the lines of, like I said, a guide or a mentor, so to speak.
So if I may, Your
Sure, can I just ask one question between?
Please.
So, Ms. Lansbury, did we get a certificate of insurance now? Or did we just get this letter?
We got a certificate that appears to be valid, but it was effective November 1. The one that I got originally was supposed to be effective as of August.
Who is the name it insured on the certificate?
Now it's Cloud9
Okay, so it just stands as Cloud9 alone. It doesn't
on
include
the
a
policy that she submitted that I got yesterday.
Okay.
The one is of November 1st.
Yes.
And that's because the other policy expired
Okay.
already. So
Okay.
that's why
So
we
that
got a
helps
new
to
policy now.
start clarifying at least one issue that came out of the letter that I saw at least. If I may, just
Yeah,
a
Councilmember
quick
Johnson.
follow-up. Sir, I appreciate what you're sharing with us and everything. I will say that there is ample publicly available information that Ms. Wang has had difficulty with some of her massage therapy businesses in other cities, in surrounding cities. And so it is concerning to us, I think, it's concerning to me, I'll speak for myself, on the council, when I hear you referring to her as a mentor, when I'm looking at an article from March 9th, 2019, Fridley Council allows massage therapy license application to be withdrawn, is the title of the article, and it does talk about the background check of the business license, and Julia Wang found falsification of information on the license application in violation of city code. And then it goes on to talk about a number of other concerns. And there is a quote in the article. It says, quote, "Julia Wang has acknowledged illicit sexual activity has occurred in her massage therapy business," close quote. And so that then raises a concern as to what level she might be involved in your business. And so you can understand the nature
Yeah,
of
I understand.
my concern. And so I don't know if you want to speak to that anymore, or if there are other issues that you want to raise about that are in support of your position here today.
I'll speak to that real quick. That is stuff I don't know anything about. She has not volunteered that information to me. But I can't deny her experience in getting a business up and going properly. She's familiar with what has to be done, that type of thing. Stuff that's happened with the Friedley thing, I know nothing about that. My intention is not to have anything like that happen. If it does, therapist is out, I'll shut down until I find a new therapist. But that's not a route that I want to go, because it's just too many pitfalls. It's illegal, for one thing.
Yep.
You know, so it's a route that I have no intention of going.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Jasler?
Yeah, so, to me, I think the question in my mind is really around the nature of that mentorship. So, to me, the question is there any financial relationship? You know, is she a paid consultant to
No.
you? Does she get any kickbacks or incentives by helping you find a therapist, a commission
No.
of any sort of thing? So everything that, she has no financial incentive to the success of your business or profit from your business? It's just.
None right now, none
Okay.
at all.
Okay, are there plans to?
No.
Okay. Because to me, just understanding what that relationship is key.
May I be heard just in one sentence? I think where she comes in was because the owner, they just want to sell the business is to get some money from the business, like a main business before, otherwise that's gone. He's gonna not get any money off that. So they're trying to sell the business to see if they can make any money back. That's what it is, so. Because if there's no buyers, and it's just gone.
Okay. Councilmember Wells?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, you don't have any licensed massage therapists at this time?
I have turned in one about a month ago, and I have not heard anything.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the application was denied. The applicant was informed and you were copied. Yours came back in the mail as unaccepted to the address that we sent it to.
What
So-
address was that?
The address you put on or that the applicant put on the business. It went to the business, but it was returned. I've
Okay.
got it in the file. So that one was denied. There was information on the application that was incorrect or untrue, falsified, whatever phrase you want to work. And she had ties to prostitution at the last massage therapy location that she worked at. So
That I didn't
you
know.
have no licensed therapist.
Okay, so at this point in time, there's no licensed therapist that's been
No.
proffered, and you don't have another one waiting in the wings right now?
No, none right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay, Mayors and councilmen, do you still need to hear from the previous owners? Because because there was one sentence he couldn't really, I don't think he could and communicate with this, who is the previous?
I don't
I
need to.
don't think it's even
Okay.
necessary, because I think we're on to a completely different, no, I don't think that's necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Because there's no licensed therapist, so you can't have a license without a licensed therapist. So,
But is that in conjunction together, or do you have the business first and then you can go out and get a license, or do you have to apply at the same time? That's the question.
we're just dealing with the license right now, so, Ms. Lensmeyer?
Mr. Mayor, we're dealing with the enterprise license right now, and you can't operate without a licensed therapist. We did approve it, council did approve it contingent on you getting one, but there's been an inability to do that on your part.
It's difficult to find somebody.
Sure. That's, I think we all understand that
Yeah.
component.
Well, for that, may I just propose that you can approve the business contingent upon his finding a qualified massage, or not revoke the application, because once you revoke, he cannot apply by the city councils for what, 5 years or something? So that's a serious consequences.
Mr. Mayor, members
Ms.
of the
Lensmeyer.
council, actually, there is no time frame in our code, but you will have to go through the whole process, and we're gonna still be in a similar boat where we're unable to verify the information that you provide.
Well, may I just ask a couple follow-up questions so I can get this straight in my head?
Councilmember
Right-
Johnson.
Right now, he has, and we've verified that he has insurance.
Yes.
Okay. And he's telling us that he wasn't aware that the one licensed therapist that he had submitted, that application was denied, but he doesn't have another one right now. That's right?
Correct.
Okay. And if we were to take out some of these other concerns, since he's come here before us and gone on public record about the ownership of the enterprise, does he currently have a license? He doesn't have permission to operate yet, but he has a license that is contingent upon him obtaining a licensed therapist.
That is correct. And there
Okay.
are also some outstanding fire code and health and safety sanitation things that need to come into compliance.
Okay. And did we, when we, for lack of a better way of describing it, tabled it or made it contingent the last time, did we set any time frame on that? Or was there a time frame?
Councilmember Johnson, no, we did not, but I will say that it will automatically expire at the end of the year like all licenses do.
Okay. All right.
May I say something?
Mr. Perry?
As far as I know, the inside of the shop is up to code. Inspector came out there twice, fire inspector, and first time was to see what was wrong. Second time was to see that we made the corrections. The other inspector came out there also twice, and there were, things that we had to change, and those were done. And so far as I know, the inside of the shop is now up to code. The part that's not is outside. There's still some trash back door, but that's a landlord issue. And I don't know if there was anything else fire code wise that had to be taken care of that was outside of the shop. But the inside of the shop, my understanding is we're up to code.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Perry, you're incorrect in that the fire inspector sent you an email indicating that you are required to remove the garbage and debris at the rear of the exit. That's always been your fire code violation to take care of. It's not your landlord's.
Okay. I'll have to get it explained to me why it's my issue and not a landlord issue because it's outside. But I'll get it cleaned up. Just someday somebody needs to explain to me why it's my issue and
Because
not the landlord.
it's outside of your fire door, I would imagine. Mr. Brody?
Mr. Perry, have you provided a lease to that space, to the city, that you're leasing over?
I don't think I did.
Do you have a lease?
Yeah. I'll have to get a copy of it from you. I don't have it with me, of course.
Okay.
I think Councilmember Johnson probably summed it up. I would note, he did submit insurance that we clearly indicated was not valid. He may have provided it now. Clearly doesn't have a licensed therapist. Frankly, no mention. I would think that he would have said something immediately saying, hey, I've submitted an application. It's only when we sort of got to it at the very end does he indicate that he never received any information from us. Ownership, I guess, he's indicated what he's indicated, whether he's got some ownership or not. Frankly, I think from a staff position, I think there's enough here to revoke his license, but obviously that's up to you, based on what you've heard tonight.
Do I understand that, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Brody.
No, I think
but
that's-
Do I understand that, that if the license were to be revoked, that he does retain the ability to reapply at the beginning of the year?
I'm relying on the city clerk on that one, because
We've found nothing in the code to prevent it.
Okay.
I know there are other licenses that do have that restriction, that if you are revoked, that you can't reapply for a certain period of time.
At this point in time, Your Honor, I would make a motion to support the staff recommendation for revocation of the therapeutic massage enterprise license issued to Cloud9 Massage LLC effective immediately based on ground number 4, which is violation of City Code 5-2904, parens 2, no therapeutic massage enterprise may employ a person to provide massage services unless the person is licensed as a massage therapist by the city, and no licensed massage therapist is at Cloud9 Massage LLC. And also that there are ongoing fire code violations that prohibit the operation of the business enterprise at this point in time. I would not be moving forward on the grounds that he doesn't have insurance, and I would just leave out at this point in time as to whether he's a real party in interest. I would also just say, as a piece of kind of, I suppose, constructive advice, that if there's a new application that comes back in at the beginning of the year, lease agreement, certification that the fire code violations are cleared up, and really documentation of the business enterprise to give city staff a comfort level together with the insurance cover would be imperative to move forward on that.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Wells. Discussion? Is that satisfactory, Mr. Brody, with the exceptions that were in there?
It's his motion, yes.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Mr. Perry, good luck. Item 20 is an introduction of an ordinance to repeal Ordinance 2225, the self-storage moratorium. On February 19th, council adopted an interim ordinance where the city would not accept any development applicants related to new self-storage facilities or the expansion of an existing facility. The moratorium became effective on March 9th for a 6-month period. On August 20th, City Council adopted Ordinance 2225 to continue the moratorium for an additional 6 months, effective September 7th, 2019. Since that date, city staff has completed an assessment study of the current policy based on direction from City Council, and somewhere we just, let's see, based on direction from October 15th, 2019, City Council adopted Ordinance 2227, which amended the zoning code by establishing definitions for self-storage facility and self-storage facility indoor, allowing self-storage facility indoor as conditional use in the general commercial district and River Rapids overlay district, and allowing both self-storage facility and self-storage facility indoor as permitted uses in the industrial district. Currently, the interim ordinance is set to expire in March of 2020. Given the adoption of Ordinance 2227, continuing the moratorium on the development of self-storage facilities is not necessary to protect the planning process and health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of the city. Is that everything, Mr. Fernelius?
That is everything, Mr. Mayor. Nice summary.
Well, it was yours.
Mr. Brody's technically.
All right, okay. Councilmember Geisler?
Yeah, so I know that this is just an introduction, and I'm just going to continue my comment that you hear every time that we talk about this. Zoning was only half of the battle. We have design guidelines that need to be addressed. My concern continues to be, if we don't address the guidelines and the design, that we could potentially, even with the different zoning, run into some of the same issues that we've had, and were some of the issues of where we had concerns about the designs and those submissions for those kinds of buildings. So for me, to be able to say, I'm going to say, let's get rid of the moratorium, I want to make sure that we've got some plans in place of when are we going to be looking at the design guidelines. So, you've heard it from me before. I'll tell you again, right? So, that's just, continues to be my concern.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or clarifications or need from staff before we consider this introduced? All right, so then with that, we will consider the ordinance to repeal Ordinance 2225, self-storage moratorium, introduced. And we are on to the open mic portion of the meeting. Is anybody here to address council for the open mic? I don't think so. I don't have any reports on previous open mics, and we are on to other business. Chief Piper.
With the winter season approaching, or based on the forecast for Monday, maybe that it's already here, brings the problem many children come from families that are unable to afford coats to keep them warm during the season. With that said, Operation Warm has teamed up with firefighters to bring, or to get quality coats to the kids that are in most need of it. About a year ago, some of my coworkers down at a fundraiser that Minneapolis had on how to deal with this situation, and where it's at now is this year, firefighter Andy Peisert that I work with kind of spearheaded this, and basically the Head Start in our city down off of Foley and Coon Rapids Boulevard on November 19th from 11 to 2. I'd invite any of you that have time in your busy schedule to attend. But our department, along with some Minneapolis firefighters, will be handing out coats down there. Basically, the Business Impact Group has provided financing for 340 coats that'll be distributed at various places. So just wanted to bring that out. I think it's a nice thing to do for some of these kids that are really in need. But again, Head Start, Coon Rapids, November 19th from 11 to 2, if any of you have time in your busy schedules.
All right. Thanks, Chief. Other business to come before council? Councilmember Demmer?
So the council meeting being on a Wednesday is a good reminder to thank the people who helped out with the election, all the election judges. It's kind of fun to get a ballot with literally one name on it, one bubble. But the election judges still are out there doing the work they do, and so just again, thanks to them.
Excellent. I just have a couple, just a little quick kudos. One is congratulations to the Coon Rapids High School cheer competition squad for earning first place in their division at regionals and a bid to the National High School Cheerleading Championship in Florida. And then big news for this week is the Coon Rapids High School football team, first time since 1983. Won the state. I was thinking you should bring your old letter jacket in or something.
It was actually the 84 graduates. It was the 83, so it was after I graduated. That was the team that won.
And it's the state quarterfinal football, Saturday, November 9th at 12 p.m. Coon Rapids versus Spring Lake Park at Osseo High School. Tickets are available over at the Coon Rapids High School in the new entryway over there between, I think it's 7 and 3:30 or 7:30 and 3:30 daily, $11. And I think that'll be the game to go to. They won a tight game over Andover, 2 points. So this is awesome, fun. Other business?
Mr. Mayor, do we want to get our road updates for Foley and Hanson? I know it's not necessarily a great
Subject.
update.
Mr. Himmer just started hiding behind his desk there.
Well, I mean,
Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Hammer, how about those roads?
Yep.
Let's start with Foley, since that is our road.
Foley Boulevard, the culvert was complete last week. They poured curbs yesterday, I believe. They are getting the first lift of asphalt down tomorrow with the intent to get the final lift and complete by Friday, possibly into early Saturday. So by the end of this week, Foley Boulevard will be open. They'll come back and do striping, signage, a few of the other items. There'll be some curb work that still needs to occur in the spring, mostly pedestrian ramps, but we'll just pave that in with some asphalt. That'll get us through the winter.
See, I misunderstood. I was thinking it was going to be open the end of like last week, and Monday ended up at that tight little, all of a sudden the road just ends and you're on a driveway. Oh, whoops. I went around, it still made it to Kendall's though, so. And Hanson, are we still end of November?
Well, we're looking forward to another holiday season. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, yes, we've got a big pour that's coming up on the last bridge next week. And rules are you gotta wait for the curing to go for 28 days. Now, if we reach thresholds prior to that, it could possibly be open, but you know, that worst case scenario is going to be that 28 days.
28 days from when again?
November 14th. We're looking like Christmas Eve.
What?
But we will know,
It's not 14.
we will know probably by the first week in December where those tests are trending. It is possible, but I'm not going to promise.
so the hope will be before the next holiday, which would be January 1st, so. And I really don't want
Better
it to
than
be Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, what I liked was, I believe this was the first Chief Piper knew that we were out to December by the look on your face.
Yes, there was an update today following the weekly construction meeting, and it wasn't favorable. temperatures are just bad.
Oh, it's like we're in winter all of a sudden.
Yes, so while the road will be paved and most of the curb work will be done, we still anticipate it only being a single lane, because what we're trying to do is avoid, the sidewalk work can't be done, so then you're pushing snow and drainage onto the top of those big walls, you're creating issues with them, so we're gonna narrow it down, save room for snow storage on the bridge itself, so it will only be single lane in each direction when it is open, and we have to come back, get the trails, get the sidewalks done, get the lighting done, side roadway connections. Yes, it's not encouraging.
Okay.
Can we,
Well, at least it's not dirt like Foley was.
Well, the road to my mom's is.
That's true, that's true.
All right, any other business to come before council this evening?
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Johnson, second by Demmer to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We're adjourned.